Hey, hello everyone. So, I am back, and it's been a long time, and that has to do with the fact that I was waiting for my new phone, with which I can now record 1080p videos, which is good. So today, I got a request, not today, I didn't get it today, but I got a request earlier on Instagram that I do a video tutorial on acrylic pouring. So here I am doing a video tutorial. So I already mixed these because I'm not going to mix all the colors on camera. But I would show you one so that you get the gist of it. So I find this easier. Look that. Oh god. No. Oh. The cap also opens like a... See how hot that is? This, but everything gets stuck over here. So I find it easier to just screw the cap off and then just pour it in like this, especially because for this you need quite a bit of paint, especially this because it's not really soft body paint, but it's definitely not heavy body paint. So yeah, it's really cheap. It's $1.75 at a local store called The Action. It's throughout Europe, I believe. So in America, you could just use dollar store paint. That's what I do. So yeah. So what you're gonna need is these cups. A little cup with stirring stick thingies that you use for coffee. They're not particularly handy. Like if you could, like get icicle sticks would be better. But I don't have icicle sticks, so I use this. But you know, use whatever you have. You can make it work. You're gonna need this. We're not using any silicone or pouring medium or whatever because that's all very expensive, and this is water. So that's not expensive, and this is Dishsoap, and this packaging cost me around 60 cents. So, you know, you can do this for relatively low amounts of money. So it's just gonna spray it in there. Don't do too much at once because you're mixing a semi-heavy body acrylic into water. It's gonna splatter everywhere if you do too much water. Put too much water into the cup at once. So it's gonna be relatively thick. Now you do wanna stir this thick substance until it's no longer clumpy, because that doesn't work. You don't want any bits in there because you're gonna have texture on your painting, and that's okay if that's what you're going for. But I think most acrylic pourers are not meant that way. So you know, just keep that in mind. Okay, so I have all the clumps out of there. Now you're gonna add more water until you feel like you have the right consistency, and I'm gonna show you the right consistency too. Yeah. So you're going for, because I already have some mixed, I don't know if you could see with this white, it is pretty watery, but not like watery, like it's thinner than syrup would be, but it's not as thin as regular water, so, you know, it's not very important, but if you make it too thick, it won't flow nicely. If you make it too thin, it will flow off the canvas. You'll see the canvas structure and it'll be very ugly. You will have no color on there, especially when you're using less pigmented paints like I am. So this is still too thick. This you see it hardly moves. So adding more water. And, you know, the closer you get to the right substance, the more careful you want to be with spraying more water in there. It's pretty self-explanatory, like, as a person with a brain, you should be able to figure that out. So, okay. I feel like this is pretty decent. It is a bit thick at the bottom, which is logical, like, pigments tend to be a bit sedimentary, so, you know, if you want the pigment at the bottom to be picked up, you want to tilt your cup and then spray to the top of it, because that's where you could see the bottom, and then just stir it in. Be sure to, with your stirring stick, always hit the bottom, because that way you stir everything. So I'm thinking I like this. So, you know, not as thin as water, but definitely very flowy. Okay, so there's some water on here now. That's okay. So now you're gonna take this, and I believe it was Annie's art, and I don't know what comes after that, but there's a word after that, who said not to use a lot of this. I personally use quite a bit of this, like, I don't know, you know, either one would work. It would work without it. I'm just, because the way acrylic pour cells work, which I'm just assuming you want, right? Like, if you don't want it, don't use anything, just pour the acrylic on there. But, the way cells work is normally the silicone lifts up the colors, which create cells, which is why people use silicones in pouring mediums. But since we're not using them because we're cheapskates and we can't afford that, you know, we're using air, because when you stir the water into the paint, the air gets mixed into the paint, and that creates some cells, but they're normally very small. So that's why you add this, because this creates some bigger bubbles, and with that, some bigger cells. So yeah, what you're now going to want to do is take an empty cup, and remember, you can reuse these cups. Like, as soon as the paint inside is dry, you could use different colors in them, but if you don't have the patience for that, just use the same colors in them again, like that would work as well. So you're going to pour a little bit of the white, and then, you know, wipe off the edge so that you don't get it all over where you're working. By the way, we're working on an elevated surface, as you can see. I've done many pours on this. And I have some newspaper underneath this to protect my desk, because I work on my desk. What I found is that my blue is a very dominant color, so I mix less of that, and I also don't use it on my yellow, because yellow is a very weak color, so then you get a lot of dark greens, and I don't personally like dark green a lot. If you're going for a dark green painting, that could work. Also, I'm only using primary colors, like, well, I mean, this is technically primary red. It has a bit of an orange hue, but that's why I'm also using the magenta. You know, you could also only use magenta. I don't think only using the orange would work, or the red. Like, that wouldn't look very nice. But, you know, that's whatever you're going for. If that's the color palette you want, that you should do that. Now, this blue is a phthalo blue, but what I did notice is that that's a lie. It says phthalo blue on the package, but if you mix this with the magenta, which I just poured in, you get a very nice purple. So that's why I'm doing it in this order. Also pouring some light blue, perhaps to make like a light green, so I'm pouring that a little bit differently. You know, you can do this organized. You could also just pour it in and hope for the best, you know. Because in the end, you don't have a lot of control over what you're doing. it's an acrylic pour. The acrylic's gonna run where it's gonna run. So, you know. And this is interesting because you can already see in the cup that some cells are starting to form. That's nice. Now the cup in the end is probably gonna look like crap. Like that is not... It's probably not gonna look very nice. It's gonna be very grey or brown. But that's okay because that color is on the top over here, but we're gonna flip it so it's on the bottom of the painting. So you're not gonna see that. We'll do it in a different order now. We'll use pink, like that. Don't worry about splatters coming onto your canvas, it doesn't really matter. You could also do it in another place if you are worried about that. Like, I'm just doing it on this spot because, you know, I'm recording. And I'm not going to move my camera around, because it's my phone, and I love my phone and I need my phone, so, you know, if I start moving it, there's a risk of either dropping it or dropping it in paint, which would be even worse. So yeah, I'm just adding the rest of my colors here. This, perhaps with the light blue, it'll still make some green. As you can see, a lot of greens are already appearing on the surface of the cup, so, you know, it's probably going to be a greenish painting. Blue is just a very dominant color because the magenta and the yellow are very see-through. You know, you only have the red really to back you up, but that doesn't mix very well, that particular red. So what you're going to want to do is hold this at the bottom like this, because you're going to flip your canvas, you're going to put it on top. You see this circle over here, that's why I put the light here and close my curtains. You see the circle, that's where the cup is, it's nice and in the center. You're going to want to press against the edges of the cup, turn it. See, that takes a bit of practice. The first time you're going to really move that cup everywhere. It doesn't really matter though, like that doesn't do anything to your painting because you're going to pour it anyway. It's going to be abstract, that's not a problem. Okay, so at this point, what I suggest you do is leave it for a bit, tap it for a bit. Like, really make sure that all the paint is flowing to the bottom of the cup, like the top technically, because it's turned around, but you get me, like, towards the canvas, because, you know, that way it's gonna be on the canvas and not in the cup. You don't need the paint in the cup anymore. So yeah, a few more seconds, let's see. Now, as you can see, your hands are going to be a bit messy, but that's no problem. You're an artist, you can handle that. So now I'm going to lift it. Oh, wow. Wow. I like to do this because it creates cells without, like, actually creating cells. You know, like, I don't know, I like that. I should definitely control this a bit because I want this red and purple to be more prevalent than they are right now. I'm going to do that corner with the red in it by hand, which I will show you how to do this thing by hand as well. I like to fix it up, fix mistakes up, fix little empty areas. Okay, so, you know, I kind of like this color, and what you just do is you put your finger in there, and you pick the color up and you put it on the side of the canvas, and it's going to blend right into your abstract because it still has the pattern of what it was before it dripped off your canvas. So see here, like this, and we're gonna need to restore this area like quite a bit. Right, like that. I put kitchen towels, thingies, papers over here on the side of my desk because I don't want it dripping onto my carpet. And the kitchen towel is gonna absorb it nicely, so you know, that's a cool trick if you need that. Probably do. Like, let's just be honest, no one has a floor that they want dirty, so. Although it would look cool, like, if you have a concrete floor in, like, a game room or your art studio, like, it would look very vintage, very worked. That would look nice. Okay. So, you know, I don't see a lot of cells forming. I have a little bit of blue over here, but other than that, don't really see it. I'm hoping I covered all of this. I don't want my head in the middle of the picture too much. Like, I know it has been, but you know. I keep this rag over here. It's an old t-shirt, but, you know, I use it to clean my hands, which, as you can see, has been done quite often. Because I do a lot of acrylic pours. Like, I have literally 6 of them drying on my floor, hoping that I can varnish them soon. So, now, what you're gonna see is, first of all, there is some cells, not a lot. I don't necessarily mind not having them at this point, because I think this is interesting enough. But you're gonna see a lot of bubbles in here. They're small though, so you're gonna have small cells, which is disappointing, but you know, can't really help it. But what to do to remove bubbles? Now, I have this. A creme brulee burner, aka a torch. You're gonna want to torch your painting. So you're gonna turn it on, do that, and you're gonna want to hold it like this. Do you see what's happening? Now, you don't want to hold it too close because then you're gonna burn your painting. Like, acrylic paint is essentially plastic, and plastic can burn. It can catch fire. Although, in my experience, the acrylic doesn't burn as much as the canvas does. Let's just put it that way. I'm never holding it in one spot, because that would be dangerous. But you are going to want to, like, really heat it up. Like, over here, that's making some very interesting things. You can also do the sides a little, and I personally don't do that very often because I think it's a bit dangerous, you know, because you're torching directly towards the canvas, and I don't like that. Now you gotta turn it off again. There we go. Put it to the side. Ooh. Don't touch the iron, it's hot. And I see that I missed 2 spots on the edge over here, so I'm gonna just correct that. So now you can just want to let it dry. Now, this is why it's sort of important that you keep it sort of level, unless you don't care, which is also cool because it's an abstract. You shouldn't care, you should let go, but you know, you work to get a picture you like, and if you keep the canvas level, for which you could use like the level thingy, I don't know, with the water in it, you know, then the picture is going to stay where it is. It's not going to drip off one edge too much. Whereas if it's slightly slanted, which I know mine is a little bit, like it's a little bit lower here, than it is here, which means that things are going to move that way slightly, which is okay because I like this personally, I like this corner, but I also really like these colors over here. I don't know if the camera is picking up that correctly, but let me just move you for a second so that you could see these colors. I like those. I like turquoise with purples and browns. So yeah, really interesting shapes and bubbles. You see, these were all air bubbles, all these little specks, but they're really tiny. So, you know, the goal is to get a little bit bigger cells like these ones over here. So yeah, that was how I create an acrylic pour without any acrylic pouring medium. So I hope you enjoyed. Shout out to Mareike because she requested this, so if you want to thank her, then do so in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will be making more art videos now that I have my new camera. So yeah, look forward to that, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!